Hey, what's up everybody? Jimbo here. Got another knife review for you today. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very special Spyderco. Special because this was actually gifted to me this past Christmas by a very dear friend of mine, Kirk Apophysis7 here on YouTube. Thanks so much for this, buddy. I gave him my solemn word that I would not only carry this, but actually get a good review out there on it. So here's my best effort, Kirk and everybody. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, today we're going to be taking a look at the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I've got two different versions here in front of you. They may look pretty close to identical here on camera, but I assure you these are two very, very different knives. At the bottom here we've got, I guess, what you would call the standard model. It's got the G10 slabs and it's got the S30V blade steel. And above it, we have the very limited edition version of this knife. I know this may look like G10 to some of you guys, but this is actually carbon fiber. It's definitely the most unique carbon fiber handle scale I've ever seen. Very, very different from the likes of the Sage 1, which does have a texture to it, but kind of a scaly texture. This is really close to G10. This is really amazing that Spyderco has been able to do this. And on top of that, they actually upgraded the blade steel on it. As you can see right there, it says S90V, CPM S90V. So you get a bit of a bump in the materials here and a pretty large significant bump in price actually as well. But other than that, other than the materials, the dimensions on these two are the same. It's basically the same knife, it's just two different versions. Okay, so as always, let's go ahead and jump right into the specifications first and foremost. Close length 4 13/16 inches. Blade length 3 7/16 inches. Overall length 8 9/32 of an inch. Weight comes in at a moderate, considering its size, 3.75 ounces. Blade thickness on this comes in at 1/7 of an inch, so that's a pretty thick blade stock right there. But it really tapers to a very fine point. It really thins out right there when you get towards the tip. Very, very slick and very elegant in my opinion. The blade steel on these, as I had mentioned earlier, the standard model features CPM S30V, which is definitely one of my favorite blade steels, and the more premium version steps it up a notch and you get CPM S90V, so you get the more badass version of S30V. These both do feature a full flat ground blade, which I'm still of the opinion that Spyderco does basically better than anybody. I mean, they really master the art of the full flat ground kind of lightsaber cutting type of blade steel. The blade shape on these, Spyderco doesn't really give a type of blade listed on their website under the specifications. In my opinion, it's something I like to call the spear leaf. The reason I say that is you've got kind of the general leaf shape of a Spyderco knife back here, but it kind of tapers into kind of more of a spear point, you know, more of a cute tip at the front. Not quite a spear point, but kind of a happy hybrid between leaf shape from Spyderco and spear point. And personally, I like it. This is a flow-through design, pillar construction, handle scales put together with Torx screws. It actually does feature dual pivot screws. That's something that I had mentioned recently on my review of the Ontario Rat 1. You don't really see that too often. That's kind of unusual actually. And the locking system on this is a little bit unique. Spyderco calls it the compression lock, and it's featured up here. Just put that guy aside and it closes. This is what it looks like when it opens. It just kind of pops into place. For all intents and purposes, guys, this is basically an upside down liner lock. Some would argue that it's completely different. In my opinion, guys, the physics of the two are basically the same. You basically have a piece of metal that instead of on the bottom of the scale, it's at the top of the scale, that when the knife draws to open, it pushes in underneath the tang of the knife and supports it. Well, to me it doesn't really matter whether you do that on top or on the bottom. It's still a liner lock because it is a liner that is inside the knife. This does feature skeletonized liners, as you can see just a little bit there. Let's go look at the other one. Same deal with these. The guts of these two are pretty much the same. Pocket clip on this, a little bit strange. It is four-way, tip up, tip down, left, right, so that's really good. Awesome job on that one, Spyderco. This one's a little bit different, I think, because of the way the handle is curved. Normally, when you put a knife like this, for example, like the Spyderco Persistence or Tenacious, tip down versus tip up doesn't really change the dynamics of the pocket clip very much. It's more or less the same. On this one, it's a little bit different because it has to kind of meld with the handle scale, since the handle scale is such an odd shape. Since they've made it to to fit the curvature of the human hand a little bit better. As you can see, when I've got it in the tip up configuration, the pocket clip kind of weeds off over here to the right, so it kind of blends with the form factor of the knife. Again, you know, not really a hit, just kind of it's kind of funny looking when you look at it that way, but bottom line is it works and it feels comfortable in your pocket. Okay, blade centering. G10 version, I would call that dead center. And the carbon fiber version, I would also call that dead center. The tolerances on these are pretty freaking outstanding. There is one minor difference that I would like to mention just between these two particular knives, just something that I've noticed. The tolerances on the carbon fiber S90V version seem to be a little bit tighter. It's the detent, for example, when you get the initial push to open the knife, you got to give it a little bit more oomph, whereas on the G10 version, it just slides open. You know, definitely adequate detent. You know, the knife doesn't come flying out when you shake this thing. But on this one, it's a little bit more grippy as far as the blade not wanting to come out of the handle. On top of that, you've also got to give the compression lock a bit bigger of a push to get it to close. I mean, when it closes, when you get it released, look, the blade just falls. You know, it's nice and smooth, nice and slick. But just the pressure that you've got to use with your index finger here to get it to close seems to be a bit more intense. I guess my buddy Keelan said it best, who also has one of these knives. We actually talked at length about this, that Spyderco seems to go to great lengths to make these as close to perfect as possible. You know, the finer details and the tolerances on these are going to be a bit stricter because these are a more premium version of this same knife. And I'd be inclined to agree with that. It just seems like these are engineered to be a bit more rugged, sturdy, and just very, very high tolerance. So just a point of note. Okay, jimping, we've got it above and below. You got a nice, really handy thumb ramp right here that really seems to grip your thumb pretty well. On top of that, you've got jimping below on the bottom, so you can get a nice bite. You can get a forward grip right here. It's got a nice little built-in finger choil at the bottom of the blade, and you can also choke back a little bit, like so, for the type of cuts that you would use, a bit broader of a stroke. So it's really good to have options. Spyderco seems to be really good at that kind of thing, you know, just building their handles and their blades and their knives, for that matter, to give the customer options. You know, it's not just a one-trick pony kind of thing. These both are made in Golden, Colorado, USA Earth, right here in the good old US of A. One point of mention that I would like to bring up is the blade on these is not really all that big. It's basically a 3.5-inch blade, just more or less, you know, rounded up 3.5-inch blade. But the handle on these things is large. I mean, it's larger than the blade, and it's just, it gives the overall look of the knife to be larger than it actually is. Again, a 3.5-inch isn't ginormous in my opinion. I do own several 3.5-inch knives, like this, the Benchmade 940, for example, and you know, it's not huge. It's definitely on the larger side, but it's not super large. But the handle on these just makes the knife, at least in my opinion, look larger than the blade you would think would allow. So, just my opinion. Okay, and on to the lanyard hole on these. Man, that has got to be the biggest lanyard hole in a folding knife I have ever seen. I mean, 550, you could probably get 650 through this. I mean, that's big. That's definitely generous as far as threading paracord through there. You can have no problems with that whatsoever. Like I mentioned earlier, this is available in several different finishes. You can get the carbon fiber handle, you can get the regular G10, they've got a gray handle, they've got a digital camo, they've got a foliage green one, they've also got it in a black blade. You know, it's Spyderco basically just giving you options, so that's always good. Blade play, teeny weeny bit here on the G10 version of side to side, no up and down. Let's check out the S90V. S90V, rock solid. Nothing in between, you know, nothing side to side, nothing up and down. Yeah, it's definitely got the tighter tolerances of the two. Okay, let's jump right into some size comparisons here. We got the S90V Paramilitary 2 there at the top, Benchmade 940, Ontario Rat 1, and the Spyderco Sage 1. let's get into the carry view here. Got cargo pants on today. We'll start out with the G10 version, and then we'll do the S90V just for kicks. Ride's decently low, definitely a very comfortable ride. That angled pocket clip that I mentioned earlier seems to lend itself well to tip-up carry. So you can get your hand in there, you don't really have to worry about that too much. Doesn't really disappear into your pocket. I mean, it is light for its size, but it's definitely not a lightweight knife. But all things considered, and considering the size of the knife, the overall dimensions and the overall feel of the ride in your pocket is actually pretty damn good. We'll do the super one, the S90V. Pocket clip's a little bit stiff. Yeah, basically the same ride. Again, when you stick your hand in your pocket with this thing, between the two of these, I almost can't tell the difference on the texture. The carbon fiber feels so much like G10, it's virtually identical. Not sure I could tell the difference in a blind taste test kind of thing. Alright, we can do a quick cutting demonstration here. Start out with the S30V version. We'll see how we do. Wow, like a lightsaber. Look at that. Woo. Just right through it. Alright. Let's check out Big Brother here, S90V. Even less resistance. Ooh, sorry, table. Wow. Outstanding job, Spyderco. Bottom line, I think the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 is an outstanding option from Spyderco in 2011. This is definitely on the bigger knife size, guys, so for those of you out there who tend to gravitate towards medium/smaller knives, more or less like I do, this may not be the one for you. This is definitely for the guys who like bigger, sturdier, kind of rough and tumble type of knives. I think that's really the demographic that Spyderco is going for. But all things considered, considering that you've got a 3.5-inch blade, you've got a really big handle on this, it doesn't seem to feel, when it's in your hand, as big as it really is, because it's so streamlined and refined and all that good stuff that Spyderco is known for. The size really doesn't bother me as much as a comparable knife of this size would. So I can absolutely give this one my recommendation. The quality on both of these, honestly, is outstanding. The Spyderco CPM S90V model, I'm not sure if you can still get these, maybe in the secondary markets like eBay and stuff, but these do fetch a very premium price, $300 to $400 last time I checked. But the standard model, and this is definitely nothing to scoff at, with S30V blade steel, right around the $100 mark. I think you can get it for maybe about $90 shipped if you really shop around. This is absolutely a premium knife. It's not quite, a super knife like this one, for the premium collectors, which is really who Spyderco is aiming at with limited editions like this. This is the everyman version of it. But again, $100 knife, this is definitely a $100 knife. This is not overpriced in any way, shape, or form. This is right on the money for the materials that you're getting with Spyderco's S30V. You get a full flat ground blade on both of these things. Just excellent tolerances, and it's really well put together. It's just Spyderco being Spyderco and putting out a kick-ass knife. I want to go ahead and thank everyone so much for the time, taking the time to watch this review. I hope you have found it informative and entertaining. For all the best knives, gear, flashlights, you name it, go ahead and check out www.whitemountainKnives.com. Enter discount code MJF to get 10% off your order, and it is free shipping inside of the United States. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, stay fit, stay strong, stay supreme. Take care, and I'll see you next time.